Super duper. Okay, so today we are covering step number 4, how to identify. And there are 7 steps, core steps, I would call them the core, C-O-R-E, the core steps that are used to analyze. And these are the sequence, okay? Oh wait, as a user guide first, in case we forget. Okay, the following guide represents step 4, identify. Okay, so the more boxes a property checks, the higher the probability of profit. Okay, meaning there are these 7 steps. It's very hard to find a property that will satisfy all 7 steps at once. But if, for example, you satisfy 5 out of 7 steps, or 6 out of 7 steps, it's better than a property that satisfies only 1 out of 7 steps. You get what I mean? Okay, so it's a probability game because investment, right? Is there any investment that doesn't carry risk? There isn't, except maybe CPF. CPF 2.5% return, up or down market, they pay you, right? Yeah, but you just don't get your money right away. Okay, so but in any investment, there's always this risk. So if you can check more boxes, the better. So I'll give you the boxes later, what we're going to check. Okay, vice versa. The less boxes it checks, the lesser the POP. Okay, POP, probability of profit. So we have to take note of this new jargon that we're introducing to the whole, our dictionary, because these are new stuff that I will be talking about. Next time you understand what I'm talking, okay, what I'm saying. So as with all investments, there's no guarantee of profit, as external factors can affect, okay, performance. It depends on holding power of an investor. It depends on black swan events. It can depend on sometimes cooling measures, macroeconomic turbulence, and so forth. So it's impossible to know for sure, to say for sure there's a guarantee. Okay, but you have a very high chance of profit if you fulfill all the boxes. And as a rule of thumb, okay, projects of more than 200 units are recommended. Okay, boutique developments by and large have lesser appeal. Okay, even though there are people who love them, even though smaller projects usually are freehold, so that's the real selling point about them. But smaller projects typically have a smaller footprint, meaning lesser facilities, usually an intangible point, which is also popularity, lower in popularity because people don't know where it is. It doesn't come up in top of the mind recollection. Like D'Leedon, everybody will know because it's so huge. You pass by, you will, wow, what's that? But a small launch might be having lower popularity and as such lower liquidity. Okay, real estate by itself, an asset class, is something that does not sell easily. It takes time. In a normal market, you have to budget for a few months before you sell a property, right? So a big project versus a small project, the chances of selling a big project fast is much higher than a small project. Okay, so in that sense, right, in that light, right, and as a rule of thumb. So a rule of thumb is something as a guideline, not 100%, but a guideline. Projects of more than 200 units are recommended when we discuss any of the following steps that we are going to check on. Okay, so step number 1, okay, and you have heard me say this time and again, 10 minutes walk to MRT. Is the property within 10 minutes walk of an MRT station? That's very important. And although it sounds so easy, I also know this step. Yeah, but not everybody knows that. What's the actual distance that people are comfortable with? Okay, is it somehow written somewhere? Is there a survey or research done somewhere? There is, just that we might not be remembering that. So let's take a look. Okay, significance of being 10 minutes walk from MRT station. This is the link that you can see. It shows approximately 6 out of 10 of the population prefer a maximum 10 minutes walk to MRT. Okay, anything more than that, people find it a bit far to walk. Okay, and of course, you can be 11, 12 minutes, there will still be people okay. 15 minutes, there'll still be people who are okay. Yeah, okay, so how far is actually 10 minutes walk? Okay, yeah, good guess, Felix, it's not 250 meters. 250 meters is a very, very slow pace to walk. Yeah, why? Because you can see in my second point, based on average walking speed in Singapore, I also put in the link done by this study by this Ang Mo guy. Okay, there's a walking speed of 19 meters per 10.55 seconds. Somehow they use 10.55 seconds as a basis. Okay, that works out to be 1.1 click. So a home, a property should be at most 1.1 click walking distance because that will fulfill the average walking speed of this pace, and then you probably take about 10 minutes plus or minus a little to reach the station. So you can have a property that's more than 400 meters, 800 meters away, 1.1 click away, walking distance, and is still bearable for most of the population. Okay, so it's not just a random figure that we throw out because 10 is a round number, but rather is based on studies and studies of people who have commented what is a fair distance. Beyond 10, what are their usual feedback? They say that, oh, I will want to have a car, I want to have take a taxi or take a bus. So it's a little less convenient for them. Okay, so when we have something that's closer to MRT, typically tenancy demand is higher. If tenancy demand is higher, it means also what is lower? Vacancy rates are lower. Okay, so if it's an investment, it's generally better to buy as close as MRT as possible. Not facing MRT is different. Facing MRT is a noise pollution, and also some people don't like to look at it. Look at the MRT tracks, but near MRT is always good. Okay, significance. Now, data source. Okay, because in every of the points, right, I will tell you your data source so that you know where to turn to build your research. I'm actually teaching you right now how to build your sales kit. If you look at it from that way, if you're going to sell anything, if you build a sales kit through this framework, it's going to be very convincing or very persuasive to tell people not to buy a certain launch. Okay, either way. Okay, so data source, you can look under link up. Okay, if you go to link up, you will find that we have the metrics, right? If you're not familiar with it yet, please go and play around with link up. Go to more, under the more tab, and go to the metrics. You can sort by walking distance to MRT. Okay, you can sort by walking distance over here. Okay, walking distance to MRT. So once you sort by this column, you can see all the 1 to 10 minutes walk. Sorry, more than that also have 20 minutes walk, 15 minutes walk also have. Okay, so it'll be helpful for you to determine whether in the first place I should recommend this to a client. Okay, second, you can do through Google Maps. If you don't use metrics, you can use Google Maps to do the measurement yourself, or one map. Yeah, I'm giving you alternative sources in case there are certain system preferences or limitations to like measuring the actual measuring tools, for example. Okay, so different websites have may state different walking distance. Well, because they walk themselves, they say that it's 7 minutes. Some people may take 12 minutes. So it really depends. And sometimes because there's a back gate or shortcut that is not reflected on the map. So just take note, okay? For those who are newer, take note. Often we take the front gate, walk out, and then walk one big round. Sometimes in a big launch, especially like Treasure at Tampines, you walk one big round from the front gate, it's going to take a long time. So back gates really do help with the shortcut. And the distance to MRT can be much shorter. Okay. If you're measuring via Google Map, 10 minutes should be less than 1.1 click distance walk. Okay, so Google Map, one map also can do a tool to measure distance. This should take you no more than 1.1 click. Okay, so next, very easy pointer. Let's go forward. Second step, also what we always say, growth hotspot. Are you buying in an area that is a growth hotspot? Okay, are you buying an area that is a growth hotspot? So question, today is Toa Payoh a growth hotspot? Or is a mature area? Which one? Is a mature area, right? Yeah, I hope you got it right. Is say Balestier a growth hotspot or a mature area? Okay, Balestier is too near, never mind. Yeah, Balestier is mature area. Is say Sengkang, is it a mature area or a growth hotspot? Well, Sengkang East at least is a mature area already. If you look at the satellite map, okay, Sengkang West is opening up, but Sengkang East is basically almost fully built. There are not many plots of land left. There's, the whole growth steam has run out since early 2000s till now. Okay, so I'm going to show you some historical context afterwards. But what's the significance of buying into a growth hotspot? Now, these are the 2 points. Now, based on past trends of emerging hotspots, as we have seen in the history of Singapore, I'll bring you back in time later. Okay, property prices have shown a high correlation of growth when the government invests in infrastructure in that place. Okay, so basically simple lah. Where government pump money in, it grows more. Where they don't pump money at this point in time, doesn't mean next time they won't pump money, but is fully built already. What do you want to do in Toa Payoh? You can't tear down a lot of homes and just rebuild and remove everybody, right? You can't. So they can't do a lot of changes. They have to do to areas that are still untouched. Okay, so there are minor and major growth hotspots. Major ones, of course, will be the best if you can invest there. If you are looking for a place to stay, you might not be able to invest just anywhere a growth hotspot is. For example, a decade plus ago, Jurong was a growth hotspot, Jurong Lake District. But if you stay anywhere else, you wouldn't move to Jurong just because it's growing, right? Very few people do that. So on the other hand, you can also invest in minor growth hotspots. You don't have to always go to where the major growth is. You can invest in other areas. The small ones currently, for example, are like Bidadari, is a minor growth hotspot. Beauty World is a minor growth hotspot. You see a lot of development coming up. Okay, so but major is of course the best, but you got to wait. Yeah, you got to wait. If it's a home, then you can't just totally use investment context to wait. Okay, so this is how I always engage my clients in conversation so that they know I am helping them to reach clarity, to walk nearer to clarity, not to sell them anything in particular at the early stage. It's just to weigh all the options so that they know that, okay, Stuart is thinking for me in my best interest and helping me to prioritize what I want. Okay, people, although they should know what they want, they should, but in fact, a lot of them don't know what they want. They would be like, oh, okay, this is good, that is good, that is good. And then they get confused and then they get analysis paralysis and then they stop. So as a good consultant, we help them to go through these steps, seek clarity, and then to tell them, hey, you know what, we have discussed already. Although this one can make the most money, right? Likelihood of making the most money is not suitable for your family because of the school, because of in-law support and your work distance and so on. So then they, okay, good, good. You remind them and then you move on forward. Okay. Now let's step back in time and take a look at Marina Bay. Long, long ago, would you have invested that? Of course, I would have. I love it if I had started, this journey much earlier in property. Okay, we can take a look at the plans on the right hand side, right over here. This is a URA archive 1992. Okay, so over here we can see that the plans have been settled for Marina South at that point. Reclamation of land happened actually in 1970. The plan to develop this downtown core came about as early as 1970, but of course reclamation needs time to settle the land before you can build on it, right? If not, it will sink, okay, with the technology of the past. So in 1991, okay, the plan comprising the new downtown over here below the subtitles, okay, was firm up finally, 1991. That's 30 years ago from today. Pretty amazing, isn't it? 30 years ago, Marina Bay's downtown core, the plan was confirmed and they released it in the master plan. Okay, and since then, over 31 years, we can see how prices have gone up 368%. Okay, almost 4 times. By the end of this decade, it may be 400%. Okay, 100% growth every 10 years. It's pretty amazing. So you can see in this chart over here, okay, I can't go back in time to 1991 because SRX only has data starting from 1995. I think also when URA and SLA properly archive their records online digitally. Okay, so 1995 is when the records start, but before that, the land prices there per square foot were much cheaper, definitely, because there's nothing there. Okay, and you can see as time passed how prices skyrocketed. And especially at this point in time, right, in 2003, okay, in 2003, this point, you can see how prices climb up very steeply. From then on, okay, prices climb up from 2003. What happened is because the 2003 master plan started to flesh out the details of the Marina front. So the Marina Bay front, where they are starting to build, the bridges, Helix Bridge lah, the barrage lah, of course, Marina Bay Sands came later, not so early. And then also the downtown, all the parcels going to be released. So developers got excited. Then developers go and tell their cousin, their uncle, their auntie, their friends, right? And their friends also come in and buy. And then their friends tell their friends, the architects tell their friend, hey, you know what? Government is going to do something big here. You better buy. And then slowly this happens, okay? So, okay, one Marina question. Gabby asked a question in the chat. Okay, how come one marina buyers all telling me they're making a loss now? Because one marina was not launched so long ago. You must see when it was launched. And at the same time, a lot of them were recent buyers. They were probably the next last 3-4 years time buyers. They were not long ago buyers. Okay, what I'm showing you is historical context. So back when back when they started. Okay, so now next. Sengkang, I'm sure you all know this. Sengkang, or those of you who stay in Sengkang, Sengkang take shape. You can see over here on the news article. Okay, Sengkang take shape. Year 2000, starting to have already. Last time, no amenities, no bus, even got shuttle bus to market even because nobody stays there and there's no amenities. So today, Sengkang is a mature town. What we can see is also at a point where it might have reached its fullest growth for the older properties here. Okay, those that are in the 20-over-years old might have reached their peak and then coming to stagnation period already. So it's also time, if you have friends in Sengkang, it's also time to explore that they recycle their capital and move out or move to something newer with growth potential, because it's coming to an age where it doesn't really okay. Hang on, it doesn't show my screen, just a minute. What happened to my screen? Can you guys see my screen? My screen share?
I can. Yeah.
You can,
as well. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Mingy, you might want to just pin my screen. Yeah, you go to my screen and pin it so that it won't move. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so where was I? Sengkang. Okay, so if you have friends in Sengkang, and their homes are 20-over-years old by now, a 5-room flat, a EA, whichever, it's time to talk to them to see whether they would like to move on, whether they have the appetite and the courage, because it takes courage to move and then take up a new loan, buy a new house, and all the trouble. So because if not, time decay works to their disadvantage. As you all know, we have done a time decay study. We have also sent it out. So use that to educate them and share something that can help them. All right. So since the birth of Sengkang in the mid-90s, that's about 1995, thereabout, prices have appreciated by 112% over 26 years. Okay. So another case you see where government pumps money into and redevelops, releasing plot after plot after plot of GLS and starting roads, amenities, improving infrastructure, price growth. Okay, that's what I'll drive at. Third, the case study of Jurong Lake District is another one. Okay, of course, we can see Jurong is a very old neighborhood already. Okay, so there's Jurong East and Jurong West, and Jurong East is the one that has a lot of upside potential since the JLD announcement in 2008. Okay, that's 13 years ago. Okay, 13 years ago. So before that, you can see prices have been just sideways trending for Jurong because it's very far. Not everybody from other parts of the island are okay with staying in Jurong. So you can see prices sideways trend for 90s all the way up till 2006, 2007. Or 2007, there was an increase, right? But the 2007 increase is due to what? It's actually due to the whole market moving up because of the boom in the property market. The whole market, not just Jurong. But after that, 2008 came about, right? JLD's announcement, decentralization, and to redevelop Jurong Lake District into a very exciting area where there are commercial space, to move jobs there, to have a lot more gardens, nice, new science center, and so forth, and a lot of amenities, even a hotel, right? Genting Hotel. So that was when prices started to shoot up like mad, right? So from then till now, okay, you can see prices shooting up a lot. Okay, and in total, since this JLD announcement, prices have gone up 105% in 12 years. 105% in 12 years is a lot. Is about 5.66% per year, which more than beats inflation, more than beats your CPF OA interest. Okay, so and this was, if you remember, this was before the announcement of the HSR. HSR was later on, then it came in, I think a few more years later. Okay, so these 3 case studies are to illustrate to you very important point. Although you guys internally should know it, I want to show it with some proof so that you understand why we say growth hotspot is important. When you invest early in a growth hotspot, government usually makes their promise come true. because you know, they are very they honor whatever they promise lah to the stakeholders, developers, the citizens, and investors, right? So if you can invest in a growth hotspot, that's it, simple. Okay, step number 2. So where are the growth hotspots today? I'm sure you know, I've been saying all the time. Okay, now you can take a look at the data source also. If you need to know where to look for under this link, ura.gov.sg, and then under urban transformations. Okay, click into each area. You can click into each area here, like for example here, okay, Changi, Greater Rustic Coast. Click into each one to understand what exactly is happening, because not everyone is a growth hotspot, just because it's urban transformation. Some of them are purely greenery growth and, you know, connecting the park connectors and so off. So on. So it's not entirely a commercial residential hub, this kind of growth. So look for the right type of growth. Okay, it's not difficult to find out where. So this is the group, this is the data source. Next, step number 3, when I check for something that is worth buying or worth holding, will be the potential GRS plots nearby. Where there are GRS plots, there will be launches later on. And as such, it brings up prices because land and construction costs only goes up in the long run. It doesn't come down unless you tell me GST will be lowered or removed, unless you tell me all the people earning their salaries are willing to take a lesser salary. If not, there's no chance that labor cost goes down, which means everything we build because labor will go up. Okay, so number 3, significance of a GLS. Okay, government land sales. Well, that's the raw ingredient, right? Where developers mainly buy their land from, except for en bloc. There's only 2 ways. Okay, in a major transformation area, there are many unreleased plots that are released slowly to create supply for upgraders and increase population sizes. Government does not release, even if there are 10 plots, right? They won't release all 10 plots at once. Why? Because they flood the market with supply. What happens to prices? They're depressed. Then who becomes depressed as well? Developer also depressed, right? Because the values go down. The resident there also depressed because values go down. So they do not do that. They ration supply. It's just like, well, they are the business owner. They control the whole ecosystem, plus they control supply demand. Everything they control has a value preservation, and since you have value preservation, it's low risk and it goes up in time. Okay, so point number 3, land release in stages along with inflationary pressures in labor and raw construction costs, material costs, historically has resulted in higher break-even prices. Long ago, we didn't have a sand ban. Our counterparts in Indonesia were still selling us land, right? And then what happened? Sand ban. Why? Because political reasons. They don't want to sell us their sand, so we had to buy sand from Myanmar and Vietnam. And what happened to the cost of sand? It went up. Is sand a raw construction material? It is. So is it likely that Indonesia will sell us sand next time? Maybe, we don't know. But will it be more costly in the future? Chances are it should be more costly in the future, right? Why? Because, well, inflationary pressures also work on their island. They also want higher labor costs and everything else. Okay, higher profit margins. So we label usually when we look at a GLS. We look at one map. We'll look at different fields and see. We're looking at different plots and see whether there are many, several, few, or none. Usually, I categorize into 4 types of GLS. Whether there's a lot in the area or very few. So the more the better for an investor's long-term prospects. Okay, so I'll just show you a short example where there are many GLS plots. Okay, so I will go to my one map. So I'll go to one map. How do I do a check about the okay, hang on. Let me use one map. How do I check about the number of GIS plots in case you are still fresh? Okay, you're still new. This is how I do it. I go to onemap.sg or in this case onemap.gov.sg, and I go to say Bidadari. Bidadari is an area with a lot of upcoming plots of land. Okay, and then okay, it's not loading. Sometimes it's a bit crazy. So let me just go to the base maps, play around with the changes. Hope it loads. Nope. Sometimes I go to help, suddenly it works. Okay, somehow it doesn't really want my iPad now. Let me see. Okay, I changed the map and it works. Okay, so anyway, you can see this is a Bidadari on the map. Okay, so there are a lot of green plots around. So does it mean all green plots are residential plots? Answer is no. So you be very careful. Yeah, just be very careful what you are sharing with your client and how you're analyzing. So what I like to do is to go to this toggle at the top base maps at the top left, this button. Okay, this button will let me do a hybrid map. So I can shift the slider. You can see I can shift the slider. I will change one to satellite and the other one to URA 2019. And then I can toggle between both like that. Ooh, see? Okay, very cool. So now, important to know, what are the colors of the map that tells us it is residential or maybe a future residential? Orange. Orange means residential. Okay. White side means you can be anything, can be even a commercial, residential, hotel or what. Okay. So at this point, what we want to search for is orange side. Okay. So in Bidadari area, do we see a lot of orange side? Oh, let me show you. Okay. So we toggle within the satellite to see, wow, look at a huge green plot. See, subject to detailed planning, the orange one is that one huge, nice piece of meat. It's like a big piece of steak, right? Okay, hopefully I don't offend any vegans. Okay, it's like, wow, oh, huge piece of steak. Okay, so can this be a lot of plots? Trust me, it can be a lot of plots when it's launched. Will it be launched for condo? Well, we don't know. Maybe partially condo, another 2-3 pieces of land for condo, maybe a couple of land for residential, HDBs, and then probably some of them for landed. We don't know, but it's a huge piece of land, you see. So to me, this is many. There are many GIS sites. Okay, this is not the only one. There are also, if you move it downwards, right? The right side, you move to the right, you can see that there's one big piece of land there that is not residential, is a park. So you don't tell people that one's going to build any buildings, okay? You can see the 3.0 over there, the 3.2, the 3.5 over here. There are quite a couple of pieces of empty plots that will be developed and launched slowly over time, okay? So this is what we know. And then some of them, like this plot next to flanking Bartley Road, right? So in case you see, for example, you see it's orange, wow, then you, wait a minute, stop loading. Oh, I know why. Okay, in case you think it's orange and it's an empty plot sometimes, but you have to look at it whether there's any construction going on so that you know, oh, okay, there's something there already, it's launched, it's not an empty plot anymore, okay? So I use these to determine. So you need to, it's not a binary kind of thing. You have to use some judgment to look at it and then determine whether there are any plots that are worth, that the developers are going to develop. Because this 3.2, there's a 3.2 next to this point. Let me just put a marker on it. Hang on. Let me just draw on it over here. See a 3.2 over here. This one. Okay, you can see there's a plot that's empty there. Okay, so potentially there can be a lot of things that are launched after the current developer releases, sells most of their stock. Because we know in the recent past 5 years, there was Woodley Residences, there was Park Colonial, and before that, right, there were Blossom and Woodley, 8 and Woodley, and so much going on there that, it's a bit too much if they launch even more plots suddenly. So what happens? Well, developers have also launched a lot of Bidadari flats, right? So in the next few years, what we expect, in the next 1 year is going to TOP. Some of them have already TOP'd the Bidadari area flats. And beyond that, what's going to happen? In 5 years' time, these people are going to look to upgrade, right? My friends have bought there also. So Bidadari, they minimum make 200 over 1,000 to 300,000 minimum, right? Minimum. And what happens after the MOP? You think they're going to sell and buy a condo? Likelihood they are. Why? Because they are generally younger couples with young kids. So they of course have aspirations to go towards a condo and so forth. So then government will release their condo a few years before the MOP, so that by the time you launch, people MOP can buy the same area. So they cannot complain government never planned properly for them. Okay, yeah. So it's all to deal with complaints. No, I'm just joking. Okay, so you understand how I do this and to know whether there are any plots of land. So question now for you. Now there's a yellow plot. Is the yellow plot important to take note? Yes, the yellow plot indicates a piece of land that is unzoned yet. Unzoned means we don't know yet what it's going to be, residential, commercial, or what. So this plot is not small, it's quite huge, as you can see. There's many plots of Woodley. It's probably about easily 10 plots of Woodley residences. In the future, will it become zone orange or white? Like unlikely. You tell me, is it likely that this becomes a commercial hub, offices and so on? Maybe just a small fraction, not a huge one, right? Because road width is something we have to take note. How wide are the roads here? Can it take a lot of commercial activity with a lot ingress, egress of cars, traffic? Maybe not, because on the opposite side we already have this what do you call it? The blue one, the Woodley residences with a mall and stuff, right? So likelihood here you won't see a lot of commercial activity. So what else can you build there? Another park? Or maybe a small park, not the whole thing will be a park. What else will be there? Hospital? Maybe not, because there are nearby one, Sengkang General Hospital, for example, and downtown area to go to. So what can they build here? We don't know yet, but there are chances that this becomes residential as well. So this becomes a huge plot of potential growth. Okay, maybe some HDB blocks, who knows? Okay, so let's go back to slide deck. I hope you understand. So you this point about GLS. So you can do the same to check any area that you are proposing your friend to buy or analyzing your own property, whether it's worthwhile buying or not worthwhile buying. Okay, so I will resume my slide deck. Okay, so remember this field, we can term it as many, several, few, or none. Some areas are none. For example, if you're going to recently I have analyzed one which is I can't remember suddenly. Yeah, one of the areas, because there's so many launches in the past and is fully built, it's a mature estate. You have no GLS. Is it bad? Mature with no GLS does not mean bad. It's just that it's good to have lah. If they're surrounded by GLS, there's a chance of pricing going up when land plot is released later on. Okay. So this is the case study of Pasir Ris. Those of you familiar with Pasir Ris, C strand.
No screen share, Stuart. We lost
okay, drop off again. Okay, let me share it again. Okay, so this is a case in point for Pasir Ris. So those of you who are familiar with Pasir Ris, you will know C strand, watercolors, Ripple Bay, Siesta, this area lah. Basically, they are side-by-side plots, very near to each other, right? Near to Jalan Loyang Besar area.
Sorry, black screen.
Black screen?
Yeah,
again.
nothing. Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Let me do a connection to my 4G, because I think the Wi-Fi connection is a bit poor. Maybe that's the reason. Come on. Yes. Okay, good. Okay, hope this works now. Let me see. Screen again. Okay. Okay, good. It works now. All right. So this is an example for Pasir Ris, where we have seen these few plots being released in the past decade. And these are neighboring plots. We have here C strand. Okay. Next to it, we have Ripple Bay. Next to it, you have Siesta. Okay. And you can see the dates. Okay. If you see the dates here, sold on 6th of October 2010. The break-even price 691. Okay. Sold on May 12th 2011. 6 months later, 761 PSF, break even. Sold on October 2011. So basically chronological order lah. It's get later and later. Okay. Sold at 789 PSF. So what I want to show you here is a simple state of affairs. Every plot that goes out after the last one usually goes up in costs. Sometimes it's not just due to land plot size. Sometimes it's not just due to land PSF alone, but because construction cost goes up, there could be something that happens along the way that for example, the sand ban suddenly affect, right? Immediately after that, things go up in price. Okay, so basically every plot gets more expensive over time. I couldn't find even older plots. I was searching for even older ones, but well, the database does not have them. They remove it after a certain number of years. So I can only get the more recent 10 years to about 10 to 11 years data. Okay. One example for you to see and to also illustrate to your clients. So you build a case around how you analyze. Second, nearby GLS plots in Punggol, you can see from here Flow Residence, which was 2011, okay, 2011, break even 743. Next, we have River Isles, break even 757. Okay, and then the next one, Park Centrals, 2011 December, break even 781. Okay, of course, we can also say that, hey, some of them are nearer to Punggol MRT, further from Punggol MRT. Yeah, possible to say that also. But at that point, at this flow, right, we can see things go up in price. Although some sites are nearer to MRT, we don't factor that in at this point. Okay, we just want to show a sequence of more expensive land plots being released. Okay, so you can see here that 743 to 757 to 781. And of course, later on, we have things like Watertown, which I didn't put in. Watertown came after that, but I didn't put in because Watertown is a commercial mixed development. So it's very hard to see exactly how much it grew by, because being commercial, right, there's always this extra premium that goes to it. Okay. So areas with more GLS is good. So I just show you this step. How do you get the data? How do you collate and how do you present the data? So you can go through these steps to do it. Toggle between these two ways. Okay, sometimes on site with a client, right? I do not have to prepare beforehand because I know the steps on the spot. We zoom in on the location, we look out together for a GLS, and then I point out to them, because when you involve them in the process, it's very powerful. You involve in it, they see, wow, here's how you find out. Oh, next time I know how to find. But more importantly, they are learning something from you. They are searching on their own to know whether they should buy or shouldn't buy a particular project. Okay, so I like to do it on site together with them also, in person, I mean. So I have also added the steps here in case you cannot remember. Just refer or send it to your guys when you do your own team trainings, right? Team leaders here, you can do the same. Step number 4, okay. Developer's profit margin. As I always say, it's very important to know what the developer is making from you. Why? Not just because you will know how much they make from you, but rather you know whether later on they are likely to increase price or not. Okay, I would prefer to buy a product that has a low profit margin so that I know that after the initial launch, they are likely to raise price. Okay, because after the first 30% are sold, okay, 30% is a guideline. Depends on the developer's loan package with the bank. Okay, and I confirm this with all my 2 friends working for 2 developers, 2 major developers in Singapore. So the guideline is between 25 to 30%. So 30% is a good rule of thumb. If they do not sell 30%, they do not get access to the bank loan. They have to use all cash to finance the construction. So they do not want to touch their cash. Of course, every developer wants to remain afloat, so that anything, unforeseen things happen, like you got to suddenly buy again, you got to buy sand next time from US instead of from Vietnam, right? They have money to indent all these material costs, a sudden jerk in price, okay? Or shortage of marble suddenly, and then they need to indent their marble supply, right? Or if they haven't yet, then they can do all these things. Or compliance, like current COVID situation, where things drag out longer, compliance increase costs, right? Of checking, swapping tests and everything. They have to incur this type of costs. So they want to keep a lot of cash for risk. Okay, so what's the significance? I have just mentioned, but I will just detail it through writing. Point number 1, developers risk hundreds of millions to develop a new project. The typical profit margin they would expect minimum is to make at least 20% to 25%. Okay, last time long ago, there were developers making 30 plus 40%, but today's market is very challenging because the bidders are from China, and China has so much money, right? Chinese people have so much money that they are willing to take 15% profit margin, 10% profit margin just to build a track record. in Singapore. Right? So at a launch, point number 2, developers want to clear as many as possible to achieve 3 things. What's the 3 things? Remember the 3 things. Good media publicity. Why? Because they have shareholders to account to, and they better do a good launch. The media reports well. If not, they get, management who is hired staff, right, get screwed by the shareholders. Okay. Second thing, achieve a sell-through rate of at least 30% to get disbursement of construction loan, as mentioned, and to provide safe entry. Okay, safe entry impression to later buyers. What does it take to attract a crowd? I like to say this: it takes a crowd. When there's a crowd, people queue up, right? There's a crowd, you stop and see. Same thing. When there's people buying this launch, you will also be interested to buy. When you go in and say, hey, how many units sold? No units sold. You are afraid to go into the water because you don't know whether there's sharks or there's nice, you have a nice swim. So this is very important to sell a project consistently over time if they have a good initial launch. Okay, it's to their benefit, to the developers' benefit. That's why they have loss leaders concept. Okay, so usually at a launch, lower profit margin is achieved so that gradually they increase price as more units get sold. It's a loss leader strategy and then a price loading strategy at the end. Always remember this. Okay, covered many times. Hence, the lower the profit margin today, the more the price loading is likely to happen in subsequent phases. If today they are launching at a profit margin of 10%, trust me, they are not happy with it. As long as they sell 30, 40, 50%, they are going to raise price because they need to make it back. Cannot be they work for so many years, raise a few hundred million, make 10%. Imagine you raise 100 million. A project is minimum a few hundred million, more than 200 units. 300 million, you make what? You make 30%, 30 mil. It's a big risk. If things change, right, or any events that they cannot be predicted, their margin erosion will mean less than 10%. It's too risky, not worth the while. So it's highly recommended also, okay, that we sometimes, if you are selling based on the stack, a particular stack that is remaining the star buy unit, and then you see that the launch price has gone up a lot, right? Don't just compare the whole project to the stack. Go and investigate further, okay, and see the past transacted prices of that particular stack. Okay, because that particular stack could have been launched high in the first place, right? It could be launched high in the first place, and that stack is a premium stack or somehow it launched higher, and the current units being sold are just maybe 4 or 5% higher, like Park Colonial. Okay, Park Colonial, the project has gone up in price by 25%. Sorry, by 12.5%. By 12.5%. Now, but I looked at a particular stack number 1108. And I went to investigate, hey, last time 1208 sold how much? 1308 sold how much? 808, 908 sold how much? And then I saw that there's a certain price increment per floor, usually about 10 to 12K or sometimes 12 to 15K, depending on type, room type. So after I triangulated down to the 11th floor that's still available, hey, it didn't go up by a lot. It should have been sold. It should have been 6% lower. Now the developer has raised price by 6%. So that stack did not go up by 12%. It went up by 6%. Okay, so we must be able to be precise so that we can see value where other agents don't see value, either because they are not trained or they are lazy. Okay, so this is one thing I suggest you do. Okay, I'll pause for a question here. I see that Gabriel has asked a question. Why did developments like Woodleigh launch different units at different timing? Okay, very, very good question. Okay, the history of Woodleigh residences. First, it was launched when Kajima, their partner, right, SPH Kajima is the Japanese shareholder. They led the launch, meaning they were the one who want to lead, but they are Japanese. They don't understand Singapore's market so well. Okay, this is the inside story I heard. Okay, and they understand the Singapore's market so well, so they launch everything at the same price or almost the same price, the way they do it in their country, perhaps. Okay, so it didn't work. The launch was a failure. They sold less than 20 units. In the end, the media publicity was very bad. The take-up rate was super bad. They refunded everybody's money. They said that, okay, we're going to relaunch the project. Please take back your money. We're going to relaunch. So they hired the ex-VP of Capital Land, Colin Ng, to take over. So Colin came in, Colin being a Singaporean, Colin being from Capital Land and with a lot of launch experience, right? Came in, changed the whole game, and he played the loss leaders game. Same. There is no unique strategy around. he came in, he priced 1,007 PSF, right? For those facing the main road and those units facing the park. Okay, the outside, the HDB, 1,007. Suddenly, the initial launch was 2,000 odd, 2,000 to 2,001 PSF. He came in, slashed the price by 400 PSF. People buy or not? People buy. They snap up the units. Pom, 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 pom. They sold so many at once. And at that point, my team also, some of them sold very early because we saw this happening. They managed to bring buyers to sell it. And after that, 1,007 sold, 1,008 sold, 1,009. And then where do they have to price load? They have to price load some units, right? So they price load those facing El Kaf Lake, the best view, the 4-room facing El Kaf Lake. So they are priced as high as 2.3 to 2.4. Why? Because they need to clear some. Their initial launch was so bad, people were afraid to buy. Hey, mixed development, mixed development to sell so badly is a miracle. Mixed development sells very well and usually by default. So to launch it so badly shows the management, that the shareholders, that hey, these guys don't know what they're doing, which were the initial Japanese team who tried to their strategy in Singapore. It didn't work. The local strategy worked. 地头蛇, yeah. So 猛龙斗不过地头蛇, right? They say that. Yeah. The local snake is stronger than the mighty dragon. Okay. So this is the reason why, Gabby, why Woodley launched different units at different timing and also at different prices. It's price loading towards the end. So one more example is Park Place Residences. Okay, this was a loss leaders concept. So Park Place PLQ area was launched. You can see the timing. 2017 over here. 2017. You can see their launch price of all the units there were about 1,007, 1,008, 1,009, averagely 1,850. Okay. Now, on that day, they sold, wow, long queue. A lot of people were buying up stuff and it was just crazy. 50% sold, if I recall correctly, 50. Developers stopped sales straight away. Why? Because they were thinking, oh no, we underpriced. And you know what? Who's going to get into trouble? Management is going to get into trouble. The people doing the pricing gets into trouble because lack of good judgment. A developer needs to make the most to serve the interests of the company and shareholders. So when they underprice and the people taking up like crazy, right? They realize oh no, we are underpricing. We better stop. They stop it. They launch it a year later at this price, 2018. And you can see 2,002, 2,100 plus PSF. And this means that 1 year ago, they made straight away 10 to 15% gains. These people, wow, shook, man. Straight away, they made how much? They made about 200,000-300,000 in 1 year. Okay, in 1 year, because of these loss leaders and price loading concept. Okay, so developers generally don't like to sell too fast. When they sell too fast, they will be like, oh shit, we did something wrong. We priced wrongly. We better wake up our idea and price a bit higher. That's where they increase price. If they sell too slow, they will also, oh no, it's very bad. We are not selling fast enough. Our shareholders pressure us. So we must understand their pressures, and then we understand how they price. Okay. So what happened here in Park Place was, in 1 year's time, from a profit margin of 24%, they raised it to 48% to make up for loss leaders and of course to make more because Palibah was having a good growth story. Okay, so this is another story for you to relate to your clients. Now, where do you find this data of developers' profit margin? Well, we have it again in link up. You can see us joining the dots of what we do. The metrics under under metrics, you can sort by column and you get access to developers' profit margin. The lower, the better. Okay. Once again, it does not mean that the lower the developer profit margin means guarantee you make money. No such thing. Okay. I do not guarantee stuff. I will always tell clients, sorry, there's no way to guarantee. Anybody who tells you they guarantee you something is just bullshitting you, because no one can predict 100%. Okay. So but it gives you higher certainty of profit. Step number 5. Okay, we talk about rental use and rentability. So of course, when we analyze whether a good property is a good investment, Or even for your own stay, is it it still has to be a good investment, right? When you want to exit. So one of the factor will be rental use and rentability. The R's, okay, the R's, rental use, rentability. Now, why? Very simple. I'm sure you all know. I just recap, okay? Rental trends. First, we want to check rental trend is not declining. Why? Because a declining rental trend can indicate a weakness in demand. A weakness in demand due to what? Could be due to aging and maintenance of project, could be due to availability of better projects in the surrounding vicinity, or a lack of audience for a particular room type. A lack of audience. What do I mean by lack of audience? Point number 2. In certain OCR areas, like once upon a time, there was this project, Meadows at Pierce. I like to use this as an example. Meadows at Pierce, 1 bedroom. I had a client who wanted to rent out her unit. They were so far from MRT. People were not renting. It's a 1-bedder. Would an expat stay in Pierce, Thompson, Upper Thompson, where there's no MRT and no community? Very unlikely. Would a Singaporean move out on their own to rent a unit there? Well, we don't have that culture of moving out. That's the thing. Until we get married, right? And when you get married, you won't buy a 1-bedroom anymore. So that was why we couldn't rent it out for many months. And after that, what did we do? We had to sell it off. Yeah. Fortunately, we still sold at a profit. But it goes to show that if you're going to buy a wrong type of room size in a fringe area, you better make sure that you know there's a resident profile there that will rent from you. If not, just don't randomly buy a unit. Just because it's affordable, small, 500,000-600,000 unit. Yeah. So if you intend to hold for long term. So third point, you always have to research into the project's tenant catchment factors. What will keep tenants here, or what will attract tenants to your particular launch? So international schools are one, of course, very, very important. And of course, to make sure that they are not going to move out in the near future. So the US school, the American school in Woodley is a great tenant catchment for the neighboring launches. That's why their tenancies have been doing well. Vacancy rates have been low because you can walk to the American school. Of course, being near to business spaces, offices is very important. That's why Clementi site is very, very sought after. Clementi, Buona Vista is very sought after for rental. Why? Because there is business parks, science park, your Biopolis, your Mediapolis, jobs that pay fairly well, your universities, because Clementi is a university town with a lot of good schools. Academic professors have to stay there. So there are very good tenant catchment areas. And these people at their stage of life, usually most of them will be families. So buying the area, you buy 3-4 rooms is good because you generally can rent out to these people, this profile. Okay. The minimum rental use and coverage, this is in ASM. If you have not attended, please go and attend ASM. You will learn all these things and more. Okay. Minimum rental use should not deviate too much. So for clients that are looking at a rental perspective, or when I analyze for them, I'll make sure that, hey, is there good rental yield to be received? And at this point in time, CCR should be paying you at least 3%. Okay, RCR should be paying you 3.5, 4% for OCR. If it deviates a little bit, plus minus, it's not so bad, but don't be too far off. If you're going to buy a CCR with rental yield of 1.5%, it's very bad. Next time, who's going to buy from you when you want to exit? You always have to plan for them. Next time you want to sell to someone, right? What's the remaining tenure? What's the rental yield? If the yield is bad, people won't buy from you. If the tenure is short, people may not pay you more. So you end up with just rental but no capital upside. Yeah, so we want to be as careful as possible, especially if you are also investing, apply the same methodology. You will find it safer. Data source, where do I get all this data? You can get it from onemap.sg. Okay, for surrounding amenities and tenant catchment factors. Very easy. That one is just to look at where are the business spaces at, whether they are international schools and people who are likely to stay there. Okay, age prop is where I will get rental trends and also the rental yield. Okay, so you go to age prop, you go on the research tab, you will be able to see the trends. So the trends here, as you can see over here, the trends here, rental trends, are divided into the 2, 3, 4 bedrooms. 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. A bit small on your screen, you may not be able to see. Okay, 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. So you can see whether there is a downward moving trend. In this case, you can see Seletar Ris, right? This project that I analyzed, Seletar Ris is on a downward trend. Okay, so is it safe to buy a unit for rental there? Well, the trend is moving down. I'm not very entirely positive about buying to rent out. Maybe to stay is different, but to as an investment, not very sure about that because there are so many new choices around solitaries that are fighting for tenants. Okay, so next we look at indicative rental yield. As you can see, the rental yield for solitaries is 2.4%. For an OCR project, 2.4% is too low. I will not buy this for rental. It's too low. It doesn't give me enough. Yeah, if you don't give me good rental, you better give me good capital gain. If you don't give me good capital gain, you better give me damn good rental, right? And the best property will be having a chance to have good rental plus good capital gains. Wow, perfect. Must buy. Okay, so this is how you check and how you analyze. So far, are there any questions? Yes, Bridget made a good point. She says it's interesting. One would think CCR rental yield goal would be higher than OCR from the higher quantum of property in CCR. Yes, CCR should be a higher quantum, higher rental yield. Unfortunately, most of Orchard Road, River Valley, right? Even if you look at the 1 and 2 bedrooms, are only paying you a max of 3.2 to 3.5% rental yield, max. And we're talking about the 1 bedrooms. If you're talking about 3-4 bedrooms in Orchard Road, for example, oh my God, it's going to be like 2%. It's not very good. But where are the top rental yield projects in Singapore? It's also CCR. The top rental yields are the Cliff, okay, as of a few months back when I checked, the Cliff at Tanjong Pagar, and the Sail at Marina Bay, 3.6 to 3.8% rental yield, okay, at that point. So question from Nick. Indicative rental yield, is it referring to gross rental yield? Yes, you are right. Yes. So the gross rental yield today, meaning the average PSF or rent today, divide by the average unit price today. Don't divide by the price they bought 10 years ago. That's not correct because the value today is what counts. So as an owner, if let's say I bought a unit at 500,000 20 years ago, today it's worth 1 mil, then I will be telling you very often, people tell, my rental yield is super good. I bought only 500,000. Today I rent at 3,000 a month. Oh, I'm getting crazy good rental yield. You tell them, no. That's not the way you look at it. You don't base on your initial purchase price because your initial purchase price has grown in value. Today it's worth 1 mil. And you have 1 mil locked in to earn 3K a month. Your yield is not that fantastic. You could be putting this 1 mil to work in somewhere else and getting more than 3K a month. Okay, just an example, of course, 3K for 1 mil probably is still very high. Okay, but just an example, don't base on the past bought price. Okay. Nick's follow-up comment is, this does not translate to net rental yield, which might not be actually relevant to the actual financial of a client. Yes, you are right. Okay. Why we use gross rental yield as the first rule of thumb is because it's easy to do a calculation like that. So I can easily compare across 10 properties, 3 properties, and know which one has a gross rental yield that's higher. Okay, but that is not the end all. At the end of the day, I need to make sure I know, for example, maintenance fee. For example, Scott Square maintenance fee for a 2-bedroom. Scott Square 2-bedroom maintenance fee is $900 a month. $900 a month is crazy, right? So his actual net yield is very poor. So I need to dive deeper once we narrow down. But when you want to do a general comparison, you don't go net because there's too much data to collect and compare. You will go mad with that. Okay, unless of course it's your own property, then you will do really everything in proper order. Okay, but we use a gross rental yield to compare across the board, dive deeper on the net amount. And the net amount won't differ a lot because why? The net amount, except for maintenance fees, the rest of them like repair costs, agent fee, all these things, right, are more or less a percentage of the property price, percentage of the rent. So you won't run very far without comparing those figures. Okay, Felix, can HDB rental over supersede? That means outperform, right? I guess you mean outperform private apartment in certain risks. Definitely, HDB rentals are always the highest. HDB rental is higher than private apartment. Just that HDB rental, you must take note that HDB generally appreciate lesser than a private because a quantum is smaller and because there's always a glass ceiling that the government doesn't want to burst. So they don't let HDB prices run up too much too soon. If not, they will cap it and do something about it. Okay, so yes, HDB rental yields are generally better, but they may not enjoy the best capital appreciation. So there's no perfect. Gabriel says it's very difficult to find above 3% rental yield in CCR. Okay, yes, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. So while you can invest in something that pays you less than 3% rental yield, 2+%, as I said, it's a rule of thumb. The best is 3 and above. If you cannot find 3 and above, 2+% is still okay as long as there's good upside potential, or you're buying something that's below valuation. Okay, that comes to another point later. Okay, so yeah, we'll pause now. I will resume the lesson. Step number 6. Surrounding price comparison and valuation. It's important to know what we are buying into. Compare with apples to apples, side by side, with the new ones with new ones, 10-year ones to 10-year ones, 20-year ones with 20-year ones. If you compare a 20-year one with a brand new one, you definitely cannot justify why you should be paying so much more for a new one. So, but it's not apples to apples, right? So you have to compare properly, and also prorate the lease. If an old condo is asking a lower PSF, but it's 20 years old, you have to prorate it up to back to 99 years in order to compare with a fresh 99-year lease condo to be fair. Okay. And valuation, always check valuation before you buy something or recommend something. I know with new launches, it's not possible to check valuation because the bank will support anything that the developer sell. They are kind of in cahoots with each other. So, but valuation, at least of resale property, if you are recommending a resale, okay, should be checked before you buy. And I will share with you the steps later on. Just give me a minute. I need a drink. Okay, I'm back. And so significance, we have to always be comparing apples to apples. Okay, brand new launches to brand new ones. Third point, prorate the lease if you're comparing an old with a new one. And also remember to compare the quantum. Why you must compare quantum? Because for example, gem residences, it may be asking a higher PSF, but per unit, a 3-room could be asking about 1.4 mil versus Trivista, which is older, larger quantum, at least 1.6 million today to buy a 3-room, although it's a lower PSF. So TDSR affordability is based on PSF or based on quantum? TDSR is based on quantum, right? Because quantum affects the money installments. PSF, the banks don't care. Right, so you must make sure that you're comparing the right thing, not only just PSF, because even if the PSF is higher, but it can go up more in price, why can't I buy it? End of the day, I want it to go up in price. The cheapest thing may not be the best. Okay, sometimes I like to tell clients, you pay more, you cry once. Pay more, you cry once. Like you buy an Apple, right? You buy an Apple iPad or iPhone straight away, you cry once, but then you get to use analyzer. Those are Android, now have to buy an Apple, you cry twice. Okay, so just joking, don't get offended. It's not really built for Android, it's because there's a limited budget to build. Okay, so we got to build on one software only. Yeah, so as past buildings, fourth point, as our past building guidelines favored larger units with bay windows, today's properties that are smaller have a better space efficiency. Okay, versus last time. Last time they have bay windows, the facades are wavy because of the bay windows, right? Because that was that was what the then master planners think is good, because it looks interesting, the buildings, but then you realize people don't like because it's not efficient use of space. You pay more, developers get this tax break from building bay windows to sell you without paying, without it being part of their gross floor area calculation. But the actual unit efficiency is smaller. So today they do without bay windows totally, and all these like supersized roof patio and roof terraces are no longer the tax exemption that the developers has. Okay, so next point, ensure your client is not overpaying for property by comparing to surroundings. Of course, this is for resale. Compare both quantum and PSF, not only one. Okay, so that you have a holistic view. So next point, avoid setting record prices where possible. Yeah, whenever I look at a property resale one, and my client say, hey, I like this unit. So if they are going to be paying a record price, I will usually deter them from doing so, because I don't want to be the guy who sets the who becomes the highest buyer. It will take a longer time to break even or profit later on. Well, once I warn them, but they like, right, and they want to go ahead with the eyes open going into it, that's okay. Because as long as they are okay with it, they tell me that, some of them tell me, I'm going to stay for my rest of my life. I think you can still appreciate. So I really like this home. I like the view. I think I can retire here. It's a different perspective and different goal that they have. So it's okay. But my job is to warn them of what is safe and what is not safe. When I do that, people trust. People respect that, oh, you are really serving my best interest, warning me. So if they still buy, it's okay. I really want them already. Okay. So last point, buying undervalue is definitely better for investors, although it's very hard to find. Even during COVID, I couldn't find it a lot. So how do you know whether it's value at fair value or undervalue or overvalue? Now, back to what I always say, do at least 3 valuation searches and average the 3 figures, because valuation is an art as much as a science. So we need to do 3 different ones at least, just like Singapore government do tender at least 3 vendors, right? You need to do 3, get a range, get an average in the middle. So you know more or less what you are buying is safe or not safe. The more undervalued you can buy, the better the margin of safety for you. But it's usually hard to buy, of course, to find such a property, because you have to wait for a very big panic to find such a property. Okay, or an auction property, then you get a good deal. So I'll break for a while. I will answer a question from Gabby in the group chat. She says that when did the bay windows guideline end? Very good. As in developer, from which year onwards? Okay. The actual year I can't remember. Okay, but let me do a search right now. Let's see whether we have this information. Bay windows exemption, GFA exemption, and then exemption stopped. Let's see whether we can find some data on this. Okay, I found it. Let me share the screen with you. Okay, so you just have to Google for bay windows GFA exemption stopped. More or less the keywords in an article in the past. And you can find here, the ruling effectively removed bay windows and planter box took effect from 1st January 2009. So any land released after 2009 basically don't need to have bay windows. And developer also will not build bay windows because they no longer get this, they are no longer incentivized to build it. So they don't build it anymore, basically. Developers are money driven also, right? Not just product, making the most beautiful product. They also want to make money. So they slam shut. You can see bay window slam shut by URA. Okay. So for newer agents among you, it's very good to go and read up on history, because history helps you to look authoritative and knowledgeable. And you can convince people much easier when you understand the context of what the government has been doing and why certain things are like that, why certain things are not like that. Okay, so please go and research, read on history. It's very helpful to your career. Okay, so I'll stop this. You can go and research a bit more on this topic on bay windows separately. Okay, so where is the data? Oops. Let me share again. I have a problem with my Zoom today. Just keeps stopping my screen share. So where can you get the data of valuation from? Okay, now you can use our Navis analyzer. If you have not gotten an account, please go and sign up for next week's session. Our Black Knights, right? Our people behind the IT team are called the Black Knights, are working very hard to train everyone and onboard everyone on the app. You must attend it in order to get access. So please sign up ASAP, because a lot of people are fighting for the slots. So when you have analyzer, you just have to scroll down. When you scroll down to the bottom, this is what you will see. You go to presenter. Okay, go to presenter. You can choose a project via the search for project. In this case, I chose Coven Melody. Okay, then you can see the trends. You can see the whether the pricing, are you paying overvalued? So for example, at the peak of Coven Melody, the price was here, 1,300 PSF. As of now, it's about 1,100 plus to 1,002. if I were to bring a client there, I do not want them to pay near or crossing this. Okay, anything below is good. Anything above this, I'll tell them try not to. You're setting new record prices, and then it's no longer a brand new property. So I may be worried about remaining tenure. I'm not very sure. Convert Manly is 99 years, right? I think if I recall correctly, Convert Manly is 99 years. So I'll be very careful about the growth prospects of an older 99 years launch. Okay, so alternatively, you can use age prop if you don't yet have a analyzer, use age prop. Okay, and I want to remind you to use your own discernment, your own judgment to discern whether certain units have outlier pricing. Outlier pricing means what? You see some of the units pricing super low. Why? You got to go and look through it and see whether it's a big patio space or roof terrace space, or sometimes a super high one could be a very renovated unit, which is not captured in the data. Okay, so be very careful about what you are looking at. Okay, and also look at trends. This is the monthly price trend in each prop. You scroll to the bottom of each to the project, you will see this, the historical pricing. So you just want to see whether the you are paying at a higher point of too high point or not. If you are paying at a too high point, or this is, by the way, this chart here is not a common melody. It's just a random chart I put in to show you to use this segment. So you just want to know where the top and bottom are. Okay. So this is the data source I will use for checking valuation. I will use this. Okay. I always say check 3 valuation at least. It's very easy to do a valuation. Why? Because you can see jet view. Oops, sorry. You can use jet view. It's FOC. If you have not downloaded them, please go and download in your app store now. It's free. It's very, very helpful because there's a human valuer behind each of this jet viewer, behind each of the valuation done. And they give you within 10 minutes. Okay, and they even tell you provided by who. So it's very credible. And I don't like to go to a client and say your property only worth 1.8. They say, who are you to say it's worth 1.8? I say it's worth 2. So I say, not I say one, it's the valuer say. You and I could have a different opinion, but the valuer is the, no vested interest. So this is what they say. This is the valuation. So it's easier when you don't disagree with them, because when you disagree, you put yourself in a confrontational situation of trying to convince them of your point, right? But now I say the valuer say this, then the second valuer say this, the third valuer say this. These are 3 different properties, by the way. Yeah, so now we have 3 valuers who say this. We take the average, and then we say, now this is the average. So whatever you want is above, too far above. So do you want to proceed? If you want to proceed, then it might be very, very challenging to get a buyer. So it depends on your urgency. Yeah, so I can have a very good conversation because we have objective opinions. It's not a vested interest where people think that I am trying to pull down your price just to sell fast. Okay, so we have to address the elephant in the room. Clients always be agents their property so that we can commission fast. If we can get this elephant out of the room and tell them that it's not because you want to sell fast, it's just because I want to tell you what is the objective opinion of the market, then people accept your explanation and accept your point of view better. Okay, so you can use these 3: jet view, SRXX valuation, their website is free to use, UOB valuation inside Orange Tea app, use 3. Okay, so next, step number 7, okay, the last step. Okay, remaining tenure for 99-year lease property. I mentioned before that we must be very careful if we are recommending 99 years lease property. So if it's a freehold, don't worry, generally good. Okay, generally are good. It goes up even after 20, 30 years. In fact, it can go up even more because of en bloc potential, okay, of those old properties. So, but for 99 years lease, please check before you get your client to buy anything, because the remaining tenure will significantly impact the capital appreciation potential. Because SLA, Singapore Land Authority, relies on the ballast table. Ballast table is, the growth curve. If you click on that, you will see the ballast table. Okay. You can go and see, scroll down, you see the ballast table. Ballast table tells you the valuer's estimates about remaining tenure for a leasehold property. So from 99 years to 60 years, you can see that the value is 80%, and then it drops very steeply towards the later years. of a property. Okay, so this is what I like to share with my clients, because Singapore is still a young nation. Generally, we don't have a problem with declining assets in the past decade. So it's a new phenomenon that we'll be experiencing, and it will be getting bigger. This problem will be getting bigger and more in the media limelight as time passes, because more properties will be aging. So it's good if you can highlight this and let them know ahead of time to get out before everybody starts to talk about this and everybody starts to avoid very old or 30, 40 years property. Okay, so I encourage you to take this step, okay, to warn them, and also to take a look at your own portfolios. Okay, so next, second point, leasehold properties generally go through 3 stages of in their life cycle. Okay, leasehold property always, I like to draw this. It goes growth, stagnation, decline. Okay, so this process happens in the early years when people don't care about how much lease left, because it's fairly new and fairly new in terms of the property maintenance. It's fairly young because of the leasehold is fresh, 99 or 95 years, 90 years. Comes the point where it stagnates because prices have gone up. People are not willing to pay more. Why? Because rental yields are no longer going up. Rental yields are high in the initial years because it's new and nice. Tenants like shiny stuff, the latest facilities, latest amenities. A new house don't have a lot of problems. Subsequently, when it's old and require maintenance, it stagnates. Lastly, when yields start to fall because of poor maintenance of either the unit, the apartment, or the whole project, right? And well, it's dated, so people start to look for new shiny stuff, and then rental yields go down, which start to indicate prices will come down. Okay, so you must know the 3 stage GSD. Okay, not GST, yeah, GSD: growth, stagnation, declination, decline. Okay, so if you want to know which age gets the best growth, which age property starts to stagnate, and which age it starts to decline, you can refer to PWP decks. I've done this training before, and I have also sent out some material weekly. You should revise and be conversant with them, so you can pull them out anytime to talk to a client. Okay, when you are facing someone with a HDB or facing someone with a 99 years condo. Okay, so the source of this is in our PWP decks. Look under Navis PWP decks. Okay, so Navis PWP decks. Let me just go here and just indicate. They are under training. More. Okay, more tab under training. Then under property wealth planning. Property wealth planning. Okay, so please go to this link to get all your materials from and master whatever we put at your tools we put at your disposal. Okay, next. Bonus. Okay, just when you thought I'm at the end, right? Okay, there are 2 more steps, which are not, you don't always have to check them. That's why I put it under bonus, optional steps. En bloc potential does affect the prices of an old property. Okay, so sometimes I will check this as well, because clients like to have this conversation. Hey, can buy en bloc or not? Should I go and buy en bloc? Is it worthwhile? So if you have an answer for them, they know they don't have to seek the answer from internet or somebody else. Okay, so I'll always analyze this. Oh, this one no en bloc potential. Okay, this one got en bloc potential, but then what's the risk? Let's take a look. Okay, four points here. Number 1, en bloc potential can reap a windfall in the future, but you don't know when. Could be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Could be even the next generation. So if it's not freehold, you got a problem. Why? If it's 99 years waiting for en bloc, right? If you wait 20 years, the value would have fallen in 20 years. So whatever you buy today at 1 mil, in 20 years, the property could be worth 700,000, and you get an en bloc windfall based on 700,000. Maybe a multiplier of 1.4 times, 1.5 times, or 2 times even. 700K at that point, pay you 2 times is 1.4. Basically, you wait 20 years to make 400,000. Right? So your what we call the IRR, internal rate of return, is very poor. So I always warn them of this, because not everybody can see it from these lenses. They think that sure make money, I wait 20 years, sure make money. In the end, your 20 years wait, every year you make 1%, 2%. It's not really worthwhile. Okay, and then your rental along the way is very poor, because en bloc properties generally have old maintenance, outdated facilities or not much facilities at all. So you won't get very, you won't get good tenants, or you won't get very consistent tenants even, and you're going to get good rentals. And you might even need to pay a lot of blind spot costs like maintenance, roof leakage, termite, and stuff like that. And all these things eat into your return ultimately. So it doesn't mean en bloc means good. Okay, be careful. Okay, so these properties also see some benefit of having a rise in value when a speculative wave comes in. Time to time, there's a speculative wave. The media talks a lot about en bloc potential. Suddenly, wow, you see these en bloc properties go up in value because sellers capture the wave, they sell at a profit. Okay, but it's very speculative. So is it a game for everybody? It's not. Okay, your own risk appetite. Where do you check about en bloc potential of a property? Now you can go to this link. This is the only en bloc calculator I know to tell us the potential of a property is going en bloc. So there is none other than this that I know of. So use it, and there's a certain algorithm behind it that tells you whether there's a high chance, mid chance, or low chance. Okay, you can go and play around. I will go through this. Bonus step number 9, to be extra careful. Okay, extra careful. I want to know that, hey, is there going to be buying demand for my, 3-room that I buy here in the next 8, 9 years, 10 years? Will there be people who will buy my property from me? Why? Because in some estates, which there are not many MOP supply, right? So there are not a lot of upgraders. When there are not a lot of upgraders, you can end up with not having a lot of growth in your property. Why? For case in point, in Pasir Ris, right? Pasir Ris in the past 10 years, some launches did not go up a lot in price. They maintained in price, they didn't go up much. And the reason why is because in the past 10 years, Pasir Ris has not have any, not significant, okay, maybe a few only, MOP. So not a lot of upgraders are moving because they are not, having MOP profit to gain from and then moving to a nearby condo. Plus the fact that there has been a lot of supply of Pasir Ris condos in the past 10 years, right? If you remember MV Residence, Coco Palms, a lot of these launches nearby, and Livia and so forth. There's so many that people, the demand has been soaked up already. So as a result, any Pasir Ris upgrader can easily find a lot of choices at their doorstep. So they may not be willing to pay too high a price. So supply demand concept. But still, it's good to know HDB MOP volume, whether it will help your prices moving forward. Okay. So where can you get this data? Well, you can only get it. I go to significance first. First point, BTO owners are typically younger generation, gainfully employed with relevant skill sets. So they are unlikely to be displaced by, retrenchments. They can easily be re-employed if they are retrenched also, because they are in this generation of technology and so forth. Okay, and most young people aspire to the 5 Cs, right? One of them being the condominium. So a lot of them with kids will want to move to areas with facilities so that there's a safe playground for their kids. There's also pool and all the stuff that they can get their enjoyment from. Furthermore, after you buy your BTO, you wait 3 to 4 years. After that, you wait 5 years to MOP. It's about 9 years. So these 9 years of waiting time, a lot of them have saved up sufficient CPF, a lot of OA savings. And from then they have, plus the sales proceeds of the HDB MOP, they can have quite a lot of money to upgrade to a condo. Okay, so this provides even more upstream pressure on the neighborhood private condos. Okay, third point, demand. Okay, because the probability of moving within the same estate is the highest. Okay, 60% of people will move within the same estate. This is also one of the research we did when we sometime back, when we looked at the number of buyers of a new launch, where their addresses are. I found out that about 60% came from the same district. About 30% came from the neighboring districts. Then another 5% come across from very far parts of the island. Okay, so this also tells you one thing. If you're doing social media, digital marketing for a project, right, don't target the whole island. Your best bet is to target within the district or the immediate neighboring district, and you get the highest potential of buyers. Don't go and target too far away. it's like fishing in an ocean where you have one fishing rod in the ocean. It's very hard. You might as well fish in a pond. It's easier to get a buyer. Okay. So this provides upside pressures because of demand on stream. And take note that this factor does not apply to town area properties that have no HDB flats or low HDB flats. Why? Because places like Orchard Road, you're going to find a HDB flat in Orchard Road. It does not mean Orchard Road cannot buy. It just means that this factor is not to be considered. Okay. So as I said in front, right, at the start of the session, the more factors it fulfills, the better an investment potential because your probability of profit is higher. Okay. So this is the bonus number 9 factor. Where's your data source? Well, you can get from this website, teoalida.com, BTO leads. You can see when the MOP supply are and everything. Or you can refer to our digest. Okay, in the content kitchen, I emailed out long ago, or you can find inside our link up. Okay, in link up under more. Just let me double check. I can't remember where is it now. Under e-sharing, sorry, under e-sharing. And then under e-sharing, we have training. Okay, and then content kitchen. Okay, then you can find all these articles inside. Okay, so this is it. This is the one a couple of weeks back we sent out. It's still very useful. It will still remain useful for the next few years for you when you pitch a launch in this area or you pitch a resale condo. Double check whether, hey, is there very good MOP supply? Because this provides your clients a good exit strategy. Finally, when they want to sell, they know that there's someone who will buy from me, because a lot of upgraders are here. Okay. The notes below will tell you that how I collect this data and what type of room sizes I use. I use only the 3, 4, 5 room flats because these have the highest return. 4, 5, and 3 gen flats. The 1, 2, and 3 room flats are excluded from this study. Okay, so next, this is a correlation in the past 10 years of MOP flat supply to property price index growth. So from this study, I see a high correlation of MOP supply versus growth in prices. Okay, so this is to substantiate why MOP supply is important to your investment decision. Okay, not 100% correlation, but a high correlation. So you can also read my notes below to find out more. Okay, so I did a sample. This is a sample I sent you also before, a study of a new launch focused client. So what did I study? Well, new launches at this point, we don't, I did not study the rental yield because I was studying these other aspects, which were to me more important, okay, because short investment for the client. And you can see how I analyzed it. I also sent out before to you and I ranked it. So you can also follow a similar, create your own spreadsheet, very easy. Just put in the same fields, do your own research, and then you can determine for yourself and then do a ranking-based system. Which would you recommend to a client? Okay, it takes a lot of effort, no doubt, but clients appreciate, clients stick to you, and you are able to get very crystal clear recommendation and conviction about what you would buy yourself or what you would recommend them. Okay, so the more green boxes, right, all these green boxes, the better it is as a choice. That's how I determine. Because sometimes, I have a bias. I prefer certain location more, although it may not be the most investment logic sense. But I just prefer because I'm used to it. I always go there and eat, right? So we all have this innate bias towards an area. Like I'm not a Jurong person. So you ask me by Jurong straight away, I minus point, even if there's an investment potential, right? So some people stay Jurong, Jurong to them is plus points already. So if we have to ignore our bias and we have to overcome our bias, we lay it out in a sequence of these different criteria, and then we weigh them according to that to be fair. Okay. Okay, and that's the end of this session. Now I will just pause. I am sure you are tired. Okay, I'm sure you're tired. So I also invite you to, if you have any questions, we have the next few minutes, we can work together and talk about your questions. So please let me know if you have any. You can switch on your mics and talk too if it's easier.
Stuart.
Felix?
Yeah. The collate, the sample of collation is, do you have a soft copy of that? Okay.
Yes, I do have. Okay, I would say it's not difficult to recreate because it's just a column title, right? You can actually recreate it just by typing it out. But if you really don't want to do that, I can send you a soft copy, no problem.
Shortcut. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Anything, guys? Anything you want to?
Hi. I'm interested to have your point of view concerning. I mean, recently there's a lot of hype on all the new projects like Avenir, Well, and so on. Could you touch on that a little bit based on your coverage pointers today?
Okay, so which one do you want to talk about? We have to be precise. If not, it's very hard to get any.
River Valley, River Valley
input.
Zone, freehold, new launch. If you've got someone who owns already, for instance, Valley Park, which is in that district anyway, by the Thomson East Coast precinct, then what's your point of view in
buying or holding?
Buy and sell, or sell to buy? Valley Park O, would you sell to then buy the new launch?
Okay, so
freehold.
Okay, so first we this is a multi-step thing. So first we got to determine, am I working with an owner of a Valley Park unit?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so let's take a look first whether Valley Park is a good hold or is a sell. Right. Okay. That's step number one. So what I will do is I will go to for example, okay, let me just do it on this. Let me share screen with you. So let's take a look at Valley Park. How do we analyze? We go to this, where is this? Over here. H-prop, let's key in Valley Park because Valley Park is O1, right? O condo. So we know that it might be en bloc potential. Okay, but according to this en bloc calculator, it says that Valley Park doesn't have a block potential for whatever reasons. Could be there's no optimization of the GFA possible, or it could be it's still fairly young. That's why. Okay, so in the near future, unlikely Valley Park has en bloc potential. That's number one. We will find out. So advice, and I put into a column that Valley Park might not be the best to hold for en bloc reasons if that's what the client is thinking, because you don't know what the client is actually thinking. Some of them are holding on to hope of a windfall, but we better tell them because it becomes more holistic a view. Okay, then second thing, let's go and search for Valley Park. Valley Park. Okay, Valley Park gives you, and if you are holding for rental, right, your rent is not fantastic. It should be about 2.2% based on today's market value. Okay, not based on customer purchase price, based on today's market value. So can I get a higher rental yield for something else that I'm going to recommend him? It better be. If I want to tell him, sir, please sell Valley Park and buy this, I got to substantiate my thesis. Then my thesis better be that your rental yield now is 2.2%. Is it good? Is it declining, stagnating, or appreciating? Let's take a look. We scroll all the way down to the bottom to see the rental trends. You can see that Valley Park rental trends are very stable across the past 4-5 years. So I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just a steady trend because Valley Park is still very sought after location for expatriates. Okay, so Valley Park rental is still good. It's just the yield is a bit low. Okay, so can I get a better 3% yield or 3.5% yield somewhere else? That would be a good touch point to focus on, so that client feels that, oh, my money works harder for me when I invest in the next launch that you tell me about. So next, I'll look at price trend. Okay, I'll look at tenure first. I know it's 999 years, but I just want to double confirm this part. So 999 years means that it's not going to suffer from time decay, right? Yes or no? It's not going to suffer from time decay, not anytime soon, unless you are, we are 1,000 years from now. Okay, so we look at the soap prices. What are the average soap prices range in the past 12 months? Okay, so this particular column, row, in the past 12 months, we can see that prices have been sold at about 16 to 18 PSF, averagely 17 PSF. Okay, we can see the historical high, important because we don't want to overpay, right? Average historical high, the last historical high was December 2018, 1,900 PSF. Okay, so average low, we don't have to see that because that's not important now. So now we look at the price trends. Okay, over the past, okay, there's two, price trend number one, and then historical monthly price range and volume. Okay, I use them interchangeably. Why? Because I just want to point out an anomaly in this. Price trends, this particular chart, sometimes it curves downwards because there are some outliers being done. You can see that units here done at a lower price. Sometimes it's because they are exceptionally large. So they can cause a curve when it's not actually downtrending. So I realized this when I use it over time, and I point on the blue dots and I see what units are actually sold. Then I go and check. Sometimes there are penthouses, patio units. So I'm very careful whether this line is going up, going sideways, or going down. I need to double check. Okay, so that's why sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't. Okay, this one you need to understand and through experience find out for yourself. But the reliable one here is in the monthly price range. Okay, why? Because you can see prices have been stagnating since when? Okay, so prices have been growing from 06, so from 16, prices went up with the market, right? Because 1617 prices went up until this point somewhere in 2019. You can see prices then on this area 2019 till now, prices have been sideways already, sideways trending, right? Some high, some low, some high, some low. They're not breaking this boundary of high and low. They're around there. And this around there figure is about 16 to 18 PSF maximum. Okay, 16 to 18 PSF. So if your client is wanting to, is thinking, should I sell Valley Park to do something else? I can suggest to them that, hey, first your rental yield currently is not very high. We can look for something which pays you a higher rental yield. Your upside is that it's a 999 year, that it doesn't decay in lease. So that's a plus point. However, there is also no en bloc potential. Neither are there any MOP supply in River Valley. Okay. Of course, you can see that some neighboring areas like Queenstown, Tiong Bahru may move over, possible, but it is a neutral factor because we can't predict that. They can also move within their neighborhood, their district. Price trend though seems like it's at a max already. Historical high is 1009. Now we have been trending sideways for the past 2 years. Okay, these past 2 years has been around 1008 plus 1006, 1008. So my suggestion, if you want to wait for it to break out in price meaning go beyond 1008, the likelihood of it is going to 2009, 2000 might not be very high already because the quantum is very big. So if you can get out at 1008, that would be a good price to get out of, and then to look into something that has more growth steam. The chance of growing is higher than your Valley Park going to 2000 PSF. Yeah, so this is how I approach it. So is there a clear-cut reason to sell Valley Park? To be honest, there isn't. Yeah, there isn't. 2.2 is not the best, but it's still okay for a 999 year property, right? If he's going to sell this and buy a 99 year, there's a chance that his 99 year won't give him the same peace of mind of a 999 and freehold property. You follow me? There's a chance that they...
Yes. Can you repeat that last statement?
Okay, so you see, there's also this part about comfort people have about owning a freehold and 999, where they don't have to buy, sell, or worry about time decay.
Right.
Most 99 years owners will worry about time decay. So this owner doesn't have to worry about that. He gets a steady rental yield because Valley Park is very easy to rent out. Is it easy to sell? Valley Park is easy to sell, very easy to sell. The only downside I see to this launch, Valley Park, is that it is near the top of its price. there's more chance that it will drop than go up and break through the 1,008 barrier. So if you can cash out with a very high, at the peak of the price, then it's good for him to move on. Okay, but there's no clear-cut sell signal, to be honest. And your rental trend is sideways. As I said, it's very sought after. It's very easy to rent out. So rentals are not, vacancy rates are probably very, very low for him. And he's not concerned, I can't get a tenant, or every time a tenant moves, I take 3, 4, 6 months to get a tenant. Yeah. So this is how I will analyze this using the framework of steps I mentioned.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. So you will see that when I talk to a client, right, it's not always that I will tell them to sell a property. Sometimes I tell them to hold on. Why? Because, well, I like to do it after so many years, right? I prefer to do it in their interest than my interest. And I realized that really in giving this style of advisory, right, people appreciate a lot, and people do come back to me. People trust me. People refer me business. So although, of course, everybody loves shortcuts, I would love that every client I come across, there's a strong reason to sell. And then I tell them, sell. And then I always have transactions to do, right? In the long run, it may not be the best for you because for those of you who are very principally driven, you might find that it's very hard to, always go against this grain of, doing the best for the client. Yeah, so I hope that helps.